This episode of Dude Soup is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Don't let your internet activity be exposed. Protect yourself at expressvpn.com/dude.
Posting pictures of Dane Cook with plastic surgery.
Oh, he got plastic surgery?
That's new.
Whoa! He looks like he looks like the Superman avatar from Drawn Together.
Captain Hero?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're looking at pictures of Dane Cook with plastic surgery. I think he might have just changed over time. And I also think that makes you happy, Dane. You know, more power to you. Welcome to Dude Soup. I'm your host for this week, Elyse. I'm joined by John and Adam.
Hello.
Thanks for being here, guys. Today on the show, we're talking about next-gen AAA game prices. They could be $70 and up. What? Who's got that kind of money? Will gamers be able to open their chain wallets? We don't know. We're going to find out. Plus, we're reminiscing about some of the games we enjoyed in summers past. The games that got us through, you know, the sweltering heat and the lack of school.
Did you have sweltering heat in Canada, or was it just nice?
No, Ontario can get really humid and hot. There was just a heat wave last week. Like 40 degrees Celsius with the humidex.
Color
Come on,
me
Adam.
impressed.
40 degrees Celsius.
It's all up
I don't know what that
north
means.
near that where all the ice comes from. Did you also think that as a kid when you saw that map of Antarctica and it looks like water's coming
That's
out
in
of
the
it? 'Cause
south.
it has like a little tail. Yeah.
No.
Well, I know
No,
it's in the south. But yes. I know. But on the map, if you look at it,
Now-
I was like, oh, that's where water comes from.
Now
It
I
comes
feel like I
out
need
of
to-
Antarctica.
Look at this on a map.
Yeah,
which
well, you
is
have
not
to
good.
look at the globe version, and then.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Look, I was a young 19-year-old learning all sorts of new things about the world. That water doesn't come out of a continent. That's basically just a frozen tectonic plate.
I mean, it does now.
Oh,
Global
that's true.
warming.
The Arctic
five.
is the largest desert. It's technically a desert.
Or a tundra.
Does that just mean
I
that
don't
there's
know.
no life there or something?
It means because of the rainfall, the average rainfall, because and you might be thinking like, but it's covered in ice, it's covered in like frozen water, but it just stays frozen. So it doesn't
You
really
would-
have like that level of rainfall.
Have you seen The Thing?
Also on the show today, I'm introducing a new segment, one for now, one for later. Okay, that's when we talk about the game that we're playing right now that we're enjoying, and then another game that we're looking forward to in the months to come. Before we get into the nitty gritty stuff, which is the $70 and up possible games coming to next gen, I had to take one earphone off just now because I couldn't believe what I was saying, what I heard myself say. Before we get to that, I wanted to do a little fun segment, see what you got, what Little John played, not Lil
What?
John, but you, John, when you were younger, what you played during summer.
Oh, we're doing the games that remind us of summer.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. So for me, I
yeah.
got two.
Mhm.
Should I do both or should I just do one?
Hit us with one.
Oh, all right. Well,
Oh, hit us with both. Hit us with both.
I have a good one and a bad one. So the
okay.
good one is Halo 2. Me and all my musical theater friends used to always go over to the LeBron's house.
James?
No, Jen and Rachel.
Oh.
Oh, right. He's basketball. I never connected those dots. That's funny. Her dad, I don't know what his name was, but he had a whole room dedicated to Coca-Cola collection. It was awesome. There were Coca-Cola memorabilia everywhere. Anyways, that was my first
Did he have,
experience of multiple
Did he have
console.
Coca-Cola Monopoly?
Maybe. I can call him. You want to ask?
Only because we had a friend whose dad worked for Coca-Cola and he had Coca-Cola Monopoly.
Cool. Anyways, that was my first and kind of only experience with multi-console LAN parties. I definitely, through my school and everything, we had computer LAN parties because we did fundraisers raising money for stuff by throwing LAN parties at our school. But with the multiple consoles where everybody comes over, hooks up their consoles to the network, and we do like 12 to 16 player Halo 2 on different TVs all summer long. It was the coolest.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I don't know. That sounded like a not impressed wow, but I did mean it in like a.
No, it was great.
That seems like that's a dream summer.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, Adam, friends. On the polar opposite, Just Cause 2. Oh wait, do you want to talk about
please,
Halo 2?
please.
Okay. Polar opposite, Just Cause 2. I had a gaming laptop, had taken a break from games for a while, so I hadn't really experienced, the open world kind of format of games. So Just Cause 2 is kind of my introduction to nice looking, blast 'em up, fun games. And I played it for a couple days right before I left for a trip going and filming in Bangladesh for this nonprofit. And then since they couldn't pay us much money, one of the ways they paid us was they just flew us back a week later than we were supposed to. So I spent a week in Malaysia and pretty much spent all the money that I made on that shoot. But as we were flying into Malaysia, I looked out and I realized it looked almost exactly like the fake country in Just Cause 2, like all the trees and everything flying down. I was like, this is awesome. And then when I got back, my girlfriend broke up with me. So I played.
I'm sorry. I don't mean.
So I played Just Cause 2.
Like a punchline. I know
it was.
Okay.
I played Just Cause 2 for like probably a month straight without leaving my room, just like playing it all sad and just like I must escape.
Wait, did you play
blow
it
up the
specifically
world
because you were reminded of it?
Yeah, it was like I was here and now I'm playing the game and I'm still here back before my girlfriend broke up with me.
Oh.
No, not that last part, but I mean that was such a fun game. Haven't been able to recapture that like open world flying around with a parachute experience into the third or fourth one. No way. Yeah, those are my summer memories.
Those are great. Well, I mean, half of it was positive. I had experienced kind of, I mean, not as hardcore as your Halo 2 one, but similar where like I just had a group of 3 other friends that we would play. There were a handful of games that we just all summer just constantly. That's just all we did. Mario Kart Double Dash was one, which you got a solid foursome, you can constantly be double dashing. That's excellent. Beach Spikers volleyball on the GameCube, which is doubles women's volleyball, and every time they get a point, they embrace
feminism.
It was feminism. It was.
Hey, I'm into this. Actually, can we play this summer?
Oh, I've always wanted us to play it at Funhaus. Always wanted us to play it at Funhaus.
I love women's beach volleyball. It's one of the best things to watch during the Olympics.
Yeah, because they go for it.
They go hard.
They don't hold back. Yeah, there it is. It was so much fun, and I could play it for hours and hours.
Elyse, is this why you were so good at real volleyball?
Yeah, I learned everything from Beach Spikers, pretty much.
Nice.
And then that's why I always embrace everyone after we get a point. Oh, look at this. This is great.
Do they have the animation where they have to get the sand out of the small swimsuits they make them wear? all the sand that goes up their ass crack. I feel bad for them. It's like, let them wear shorts, for the love of God.
But yeah,
no.
that was a blast. We also played a lot of Mario Party at this time, and that would have been probably like Mario Party 6-ish, because there were a couple that came out on the GameCube. But yeah, it was just, and I just think back to like that one summer, and it was a blast. Adam, you got any?
Hey, so you asked this question, and like I legitimately thought about it, and most of my childhood has become a blur. And I think I've talked about this before. My life in video games has always been a very torrid affair, where I was given video games and then they were taken away from me. So I'd have to go to a friend's house and play them. It was some weird psychological damage my mom was trying to play on me. I don't really understand it. So, and like I started working full time. Like I started working basically as soon as I could. And I got like my first job when I was 16. So like I had a summer job. If I wasn't going to summer school, I was going to football practice. If I wasn't going to football practice, I was, working. Like I would play games when I could, but it was like I never really got to have like that summer where I just got to dick around and, you know, play a game all summer. And I don't really remember being able to do much of that as a kid, because when you live with your authoritarian family, they don't let you do anything. And it's like, go outside and play, which maybe ended up being better for me in the long term. But the last game I could think of that reminded me of summer was Vicious Circle, when we did the Vicious Summer thing. And I was like, that felt like summer because it was hot and it was called Vicious Summer.
And it was staged to look like summer.
Yeah.
They said it was summer.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been. I don't really recall, but there's that joke in The Simpsons where they go, you know, Homer tells Bart, like, when you become my age, you miss every summer. And you're like, it's sort of
It's true.
It is true.
Yeah,
And
I should have prefaced mine by saying that I was not really a kid doing this. I was at least 20 doing my summer, because I wasn't really allowed to have games either. So I was an adult.
I remember.
Summer.
I actually remembered another one. If you want.
Oh,
to hear.
please.
When Pokemon card games was big, my dad bought a bunch of boxes of booster packs, and then one summer, me and the pastor's son would do manual labor, and he'd pay us a booster pack an hour, which was he'd pay us $3 an hour,
man,
to do yard work and stuff.
That's horrible.
That's not the first time Pokemon have been involved with child labor, and it won't be the last. So
True.
At the time, did you realize the financial trade-off?
No, I didn't know what minimum wage was. My dad kept it from me.
I mean, it had to have been at least like the Charizard pack, right? Like, I don't know.
I just Hitmonchan for days.
John, what year would you say that was approximately?
98, 99, or 2000. Probably
so back
98 or 99, 2000, yeah.
Back then, if you were going to buy a game, it would have cost $100 or more. By inflation standards today. And that brings us to our next topic. So yeah, you could have those $3 Pokemon packs, you know, it didn't matter. Don't look so shocked. We talked about this before the show.
Okay.
Oh yeah, tell me more. Explain inflation to me, Elyse.
Last week, 2K announced that NBA 2K21 will retail for $60 on Xbox One and PS4. However, it will be $10 more at $70 on PS5 and Xbox Series X. There's another tier to this where for $100 flat, players can get a Mamba Forever edition that bundles both versions. So if you carry over from last gen to next, you're covered. But this kind of started a conversation buzzing around the gaming world, which was, can we expect $70 to be the default pricing across next gen AAA games? Because right now, you know, you're looking at max base edition, $60 for a game. And that's not including microtransactions or any, you know, additional DLC or add-ons or stuff that you're getting. So yeah, it's created a stir, it's created a conversation, and a lot of people, of course, are upset about this. However, different outlets are kind of doing the, you know, sensible thing, and they're taking a look back at pricing of games and equating it to inflation and seeing, you know, is this really such a dramatic increase? Are we looking at this in a sensible way? I believe
their headline was y'all being babies, which I don't agree with. I think that is a very pompous way of looking down at the audience you're trying to appease. So maybe be careful, bloggers.
Yeah.
You don't want to upset your base. Just saying.
Yeah, because I do really understand that if you're making minimum wage, a $10 increase on something, that's a lot. Like, that's, you know.
I mean, also the current economic. I was going to say the current economic climate with everything that's going on. It seems like a bad time to up the prices, even though it's understandable.
I was talking to Eric Badur yesterday, and we were just talking about Sonic Spinball and how he got that as a kid. And there was those times when you got a game, and like that was it. It was like you all your friends would. So we were talking about games that reminded me of summer, and then he said, "Oh, Sonic Spinball." I remember playing it and being like, "This game sucks, but I have to play it because this is all I have." I don't have money, and I spent it all on this because it was called Sonic, and it doesn't play like Sonic, but I gotta play it. So
yep. And that's the question. I mean, there are lots of questions that this is raising in discussion. One of them being, now that AAA games are these massive, you know, fully realized worlds like your cyberpunks, do you need to buy that many games? Like, will this really impact people's buying habits if you can get one game that's going to last you 6 months? There's a lot. I mean, we can delve into it. My biggest questions were like, you know, will we see an uptick in people subscribing to services like Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Now? Those are $5 to $15 a month and $10 a month, respectively. Will people say, well, I don't want to pay for these, but I can manage a subscription? Will people just buy fewer games? Will people wait for sales, lean into more free-to-play games, or just turn to indies instead of buying these AAA games? What do you got? How are you guys feeling about this?
Sonic Spinball is still out there.
I'm a Sonic
play it
Spinball
today.
apologist. I love that game.
I hated it. I hated it so much. I did that thing. I booted up and went, oh, it's a pinball game. I hate this. Well, here goes the next 20 hours.
Yeah. For me, Elyse, I actually, a year or two ago, kind of made a pivot to indie games. Not because of pricing or anything, but when I started, I mean, I've talked about this, that I have an interest in making games, which I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm going to make games. But I started actually playing stuff to kind of look at the design of them, and I very quickly realized that most AAA games are exactly the same, just with a different skin. Yeah. And it was like, well, shit, I'm not learning anything playing these games. So I pivoted to indie games where they're smaller and they're much more focused on specific mechanics and exploring those mechanics. So for me, I'm already like, I've not played a lot of the AAA games that have come out over the past few years, just because I feel like I've played those games before many times. Like I talked about it with Horizon Zero Dawn. I know everybody loved that. I was really into it until I reached the point where it's like, and now the world is open. And I guess because I bought the Game of the Year version that had all the DLC, and the whole map just got covered in like side quest points, and I was just like, God damn it! And it totally took the steam out of my sails.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, once you saw what it is, and then they're like, this is a high level area, can't go here. I just went, I've played this before, and I think this game looks great, and I think it's got some cool mechanics to it, but I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like overwhelmed. I don't know if that's sort of what you went through, John.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was also more that like all the base mechanics were stuff that we'd seen in a bunch of other games. So, like the climbing towers to reveal the map, and there being certain collectibles you have to chase, certain collectibles behind puzzles. It's just like,
yeah. I think what you're saying about indie games having to lean into unique mechanics instead of relying on fidelity is a pretty interesting point, and it's something that makes absolute sense that I don't think I've ever really thought about. Rachel Weber, who's the managing editor of Games Radar, she had an interesting perspective on this because she kind of feels like this isn't going to be a major deterrent to people that are buying next gen consoles. Like if she thinks if you're buying the console, you're going to buy the games. To quote her, if you've already invested in a next generation console, you're going to want to make the most of that investment with the real AAA games. Just like investing in a 4K TV and then skipping cheaper Blu-rays for Ultra HD versions. Do you guys agree with that?
That is a great point. Especially like I didn't know much. I just heard $70 games. I didn't think much more about it. But yeah, if it's just the next gen stuff, anyone who's going to have to pay $70 is already spending $500-$600 on a console. I thought it was the idea was that it's just all games are going up to $70.
Oh,
but yeah, if it's just next gen stuff, then it's like, that.
I mean, that's what happened before.
Yeah,
that's what happened with PS3, Xbox 360 when games went up to $60. The PS2 games were still $50. That just seems to be the trend. It goes up $10 every generation. And then we've talked about this before. As far as hobbies go, gaming is a bit on the more affordable side. It's still, obviously it's costly. But as far as like being able to get a taste of current generation technology at a fair price, it's pretty good. PC gaming starts to get a bit crazier, and then you can, once you go into that world, it starts to get a lot more expensive, and it's a bit more daunting, I think. But like console gaming, I think has always been somewhat welcoming compared to other hobbies like surfing,
woodworking,
or barbecuing, golfing. There's all these things that like I think you forget about. Gaming tries to be affordable, and that's typically why I think the console manufacturers take a loss on the hardware, even though it seems like it's fairly expensive for what's going into it.
Yeah. Well, even right now.
Getting.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's about that's where I finish.
Sorry. Doing these over remotely is always so hard.
I prefer you to yell at me in my face. I miss those days.
I'm just going to keep talking and not. I'm so sorry. Did you have something?
I forgot what I even interrupted Adam to say.
Well, something that you brought up before we started, Elyse, was the that they analyzed for inflation, because from what I understand, even back in the 70s, games were $60. Like,
yeah.
It hasn't changed. The cost to make games has gone up by the millions, but the price of games.
I would say that I would argue the cost to go up to make them has gone up because what you're getting out of them has expanded greatly. Like the game that you bought at $60 in the 90s is not the same game that you're buying at $60 today. What you're getting out of the hours upon hours. Ars Technica looked at some of the economics of it all and past gaming price points. And they had, late era NES games and early era N64 titles priced at $69.99, which was the equivalent of $110 today. Early Saturn PlayStation games in '96 sold for $60. That's about $100 in today's pricing. So yeah, like I know everyone kind of likes to just point to inflation. I remember what I was going to say, Adam, when I so rudely cut you off. It was that, even in when like you're saying that gaming isn't such an expensive hobby, even now when there's, we're bordering a recession and people are out of work, gaming is an industry that isn't suffering. Yeah. People are still buying games because, especially now, we're all in quarantine, but it is, I think, like you're saying, it's a hobby that they can justify putting hours and hours into. Like if you go play golf and you spend $100 playing golf that day, that's that day. Mm-hmm. And it's done and you can't return to it and that's it. But that game you can.
I'm not saying gaming is like, it isn't, I mean, the most affordable thing you could do is like exercise without equipment, like go, run. That's probably like one of the, I'm just saying like any sort of like hiking is a great hobby that is super affordable. Art is also that's a rabbit hole you can go down where it's like, all you need is a pencil and some paper, but then art supplies get super expensive. Most hobbies have different thresholds, but as far as gaming goes, they keep trying to make it affordable. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the companies pushing for cloud gaming and those sorts of things where they go, you have the TV, you don't have to worry about the hardware. Just pay us monthly forever for the rest of your life. And your games will be behind this paywall, much like The Office is behind Netflix. Like that's what they want. Mm-hmm. That's where they want to pivot to, because when they first started making consoles, it was like, we're going to release this thing called the Odyssey or the Atari 2600 or the NES, and we're going to make a profit off the hardware. Except the hardware became more sophisticated and more costly. And they realized we can't sell this thing for what it's the thousands of dollars that it costs to make. So we have to take a loss on it in the hope that we'll make it back on the software side. So they want to find a way to get around that entirely, where they go, well, the hardware just falls. It plays on it plays on your phone. Everyone has a phone. We don't need to make consoles anymore, except the streaming technology is not even close to where we need it to be for that to work. But when you wonder why so many companies are trying to jump into that market, that's why.
And when ISPs are refusing to upgrade their services, they're like, consumers don't need fiber. No, You already have more than enough.
Except now we need it more than ever, and we're still using internet that's probably 10 to 15 years behind where it should be.
Yeah.
Some people more than that. When some people are still using dial-up. When I don't, yeah. And we rely on this stuff day to day.
I look in my neighbor's window. That's how bad my internet is. I have to look through my window into their window, see what they got on their computer, because mine's so slow.
They're scrolling BuzzFeed over there.
They scroll
It's
BuzzFeed.
so fast.
I'm trying to shout my quiz responses at them.
What I love in this, even in this day and age, we still don't know how to properly show off what fast internet looks like. So, like, I was watching some of the Overwatch finals or the Overwatch League stuff, and it's like it's sponsored by Xfinity or whatever, and it's like you have the fastest internet, so you're the better gamer. I'm like, I don't think it works that way. There's a whole bunch of other network things in between that, but I could just imagine the day of the shoot where the guy goes, okay, now you won the game, react, and he goes, yes. It's like you win a game because you're spending $150 on your internet a month, and you're like, I was faster than him. It's better. It's like, well, no, you still have to go through the server, whatever. However you want to market your product, go for it. Anyway,
Well, by that logic, maybe if I buy these more expensive games, I will be the better gamer.
that's how it
There
works.
you go.
John Smith's buying his last gen, and I'm buying my next gen for $10 more. That's not true. That
I'm
won't
so
happen for
jelly.
me. But something you touched on was the cloud, Adam, digital, and I think that's an argument that I'm seeing in response to this price increase is disgruntled consumers saying, well, I'm paying $10 more, but I'm just going to buy it digitally. I'm not even paying for your overhead, your brick and mortar store where I'm buying this from. And that to me goes back to games are bigger, they're more expensive. I know it's not brick and mortar, but that 90-hour, 120-hour Cyberpunk game you're going to get, that took a lot more than the game you would have bought 15 years ago from a brick and mortar store where there is overhead.
To play
Wait,
devil's advocate.
you're calling the audience babies? Elyse,
No, I
don't become the bloggers. This is what killed your old job.
I truly think that for people that $10 is a lot. I sympathize with you a ton. I wish this was the sort of thing where we knew also that that $10 more was going to help alleviate stuff like crunch.
Yeah.
Like it's not just lining a corporation's pockets. But
I mean,
Play devil's
that's something
advocate,
that-
at least. Oh,
Go for it. Oh no, go for it. Go for it.
I was going to say, to play devil's advocate, the announcement came from 2K that NBA 2K21 is the game that's going to be priced $10 more, which I feel like for more than a decade, all these annual sports games have been kind of criticized for just being reskins and not really innovating and really just being the same game year after year. So I agree with the sentiment that games like Cyberpunk and other games like that definitely warrant a price increase, but maybe not these shitty annual games that seem low effort, and I don't know. I've never played them, so I don't actually know.
They know there's an audience for it, and that's sort of the ongoing issue is that this is a hobby that always has the latest greatest, right? There's always something new. It's like the tech industry. There's always the next iPhone. There's always the next Mac or the next PC, the next NVIDIA card, all these sorts of things. And they have found that there is a more casual player who's into sports games. There's obviously crossover there, but there are people who say, new number, I want it. That's the one game I'm going to buy. It's there. And they have proven year after year that they will continue to do that. So it falls on the consumer in a way. It's a two-way street, but enough people said, I'm okay paying $60 a year for the same thing because the number has increased. I think more the hardcore gaming audience is a lot more vocal about those sorts of things, and rest his logic. But Spool made his argument for the $1 1 hour thing, and it seems to hold true for a lot of people, where that is some sort of weird math we have created that makes sense. But like sports games, I just feel like are in their own realm in some way. It's a lot like pay-per-view.
It's very niche.
Yeah,
it's wildly popular and yet niche.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, or like sports packages. People will spend whatever it is. I'm actually not sure. I think Omar's the only person I know, or Matt Peak, who pay for MLB, and it's something like $150 a year or something just to watch baseball, the most boring sport in the world, which I also enjoy, but it is boring. And I was like, you spend how much to watch man throw a ball and hit with stick? Oh, mercy.
But that's their man. That's their man throwing the ball.
Yeah. His colors match my. He's not from that city. No, they flew him in from somewhere else and gave him more money, but he play for my color. Yes.
Well, we're going to talk about this more because I also did some surveying on Twitter to gauge how you, the gamers, feel about this. But first, a word from our sponsor. Technology has improved almost everything. Phones, cars, shopping, you name it. Yet mattresses have more or less stayed the same. Why is that? We deserve better. Finally, the mattress has evolved thanks to Purple. This is because of their secret tech. You might not know, but they have the Purple Grid, a patented comfort technology that instantly adapts to your body's natural shape and sleep style. Purple is for every body, no matter how you sleep. It's designed with over 2,800 open air channels and naturally temperature neutral gel, so you'll never sleep too hot or too cold. It's going to feel just right. The Purple mattress is soft where you want it, firm where you need it, and comfortably cool all over. I love that. It's truly a mattress that does it all. I have a Purple pillow, and it's really comfortable. It's really cool. Feels great for your shoulders. You won't be disappointed, trust me. You can count on resting easy night after night, year after year, because the ultra-durable Purple Grid won't sink or lose shape. It's going to stay intact. And Purple is so confident in what they do in this that every Purple mattress comes with free shipping, returns, and a risk-free 100-night trial. So use it for 100 nights, see how you feel. So experience the next evolution of sleep now. Go to purple.com/dudesoup and use promo code DUDESOUP. For a limited time, you'll get $150 off any Purple mattress order of $1,500 or more. That's purple.com/dudesoup, promo code DUDESOUP, DUDESOUP, for $150 off any mattress order of $1,500 or more. Remember, terms apply. So yeah, I just out of pure curiosity and to kind of get us some feedback for this podcast, posted a poll on Twitter to see how my gamers feel about this $10 potential price increase, this default price increase for next gen games, and whether they see themselves consequently buying fewer games. And here are my results. I had 31,498 people that voted.
Holy smokes!
I know everybody was really into it. So thank you everybody for voting. And a lot of people also responded and gave me just some like anecdotal feedback, which I appreciated. I have a bunch of comments pulled that I'll read to you guys. But here, the results were 56.2% people said yes, they do see themselves buying fewer games if this is how next-gen games will be priced. 29.9% said no, they're still going to be buying the same amount, theoretically. And 13.9% were interested in an alternative like Game Pass or PS Now, a subscription service, so that way they're not buying title after title at this top price point.
That is something, too, that I think the gaming industry is different than many others. Maybe not. Maybe it is similar to golf and skateboarding and other things where if you wait long enough, things go down in price. But I always thought that made the gaming industry unique where, they're charging this much for these games, but if you wait 6 months, sometimes even 3 months, you wait till a holiday sale, sometimes you get these things for half off. And
that's what I did with Doom Eternal.
I mean, I bought that day of, but I mean, that's what the industry does. It preys upon that feeling of you need it now. Oh,
the immediacy
what are your
now,
friends playing? Yeah, you see all your friends playing. And it's like, oh, let's make a friends list so we can see what our friends are playing and make you feel left out, you idiot. Now buy it.
Yeah, there's a hype cycle that starts 2 years before a game comes out. So that way you're on the brink of if it's release saying, I've been waiting so long. I need to play this now. I can't wait any longer. I won't be part of the zeitgeist. Something will get spoiled for me if I don't play it. And the thing is, like, I think for us and what we do, it's sometimes a little bit harder to escape it. But I have some friends that, they're not anywhere near this industry and they just kind of get a game, a year after it's come out when they sort of catches their eye or whatever,
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, Cyberpunk will be $30, come holiday, or you'll be able to there'll be some sort of deal for it if you wait long enough. And it usually comes down to that where it's like, well, I don't want to wait. It's like, well, then you have to pay more money. That's how they get you. That's the drug. That's the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And
I was
so
at
it's like,
Walmart
yeah.
and I bought Twister on DVD for $5 from a bargain bin. It's very
It's on
similar.
Netflix.
You played the waiting game. That was
Mhm.
smart. That's what you did. What did you wait for Bill Paxton to die? Was that what it was? It lost all value. You're a monster.
I have a tweet response from James B. Jones. He's worked in gaming for a really long time. I believe
JBJ?
like writing on games. He responded and said, "I see the increase in game pricing leading to an exponential growth of both Games Pass and PS Now. At the same time, I also see it breathing new life into the mid-tier market for games. We're going to see a lot more indie and modestly budgeted AA games going for around $40 US." And I think that's an interesting price point too. Is that like that $40? You know, maybe now it would have been $30, but like the Rocket Leagues, the Way Outs, those kind of games that aren't like exactly AAA, but they're not. You know, they're from a more modest studio.
Oh, I'm going to say civilized era or whatever Obi-Wan said.
Well, also, I'm curious with these next gens, how many games are actually going to be utilizing, like, how AAA does a game have to be to use the maximum potential of these new consoles? Like,
I mean, yeah, it's you're right. It's so much more. It's becoming more and more like a PC, where it would be odd if you wanted to play Control with RTX abilities that you'd have to buy the game for $10 more, because you ate the cost when you bought a 2080. You know, like, so the software's it doesn't really matter. That's not exactly consequential, but like now with the consoles, like, well, you want to utilize that solid state and those new ray tracing abilities in 8K. Now the software costs more. You go, wait, what? That doesn't make a lot of sense because the game's basically the same, just has a few bells and whistles now. There's nothing like, I guess, yeah, maybe graphically it's a bit more up-produced, but the consoles aren't as different as I feel like we were when we were jumping from like PS1 to PS2.
Yeah. And I might be thinking of this wildly, but like, and then say you do the same DLC for next gen that you do on last gen. Does the DLC on next gen merit being more expensive because it requires
It's a slippery slope, yeah.
Is a kind of a slippery slope. And I mean, that's something that we haven't even really talked about. Is a lot of the feedback I was getting to this tweet was people saying, you know, I don't want to pay $70 and then also be paying for season passes, microtransactions, anything additional. A lot of people also were kind of, you know, maybe in a little bit more of a critical way, thinking like, well, I don't want to pay $70 for a game if it's going to have patching day one. Like I'm paying more for not even like a finished game. Which to me is it still boils down to there's more going into these games.
That's the hope, right? It's
the hope.
You see what's the game Godfall, and it just looks kind of okay. You know, I don't know if that's a $70 game, but they made the rush to be next gen before anyone else, and you're gonna play and go, well, this looks and feels like Diablo, but I guess it's pretty. You know, you're gonna have to wait a little bit before those consoles are actually utilizing the new tech anyway. This always happens. That's the other thing too. It's like when the 360 came out, we're like, oh my god, it's a next gen console. It's high definition. Perfect dark is awful. Like it looks pretty, or it got me in looking pretty, but it controls like crap and it looks like crap.
Well, since it's more powerful, is it just going to be that games can be less optimized because the better systems can handle it, so they don't need it to like run super well or something? I don't know how all that backend stuff works, but
I'm trying to remember. There was one franchise that like when was crossing over to next gen, they released one title. Was it Assassin's Creed released one title for last gen, and then they released they released them at the same time. I remember
Shadow of Mordor. The like on 360, it didn't have the Nemesis system because the AI behind it was too intensive. So it released just like it was like a neutered version of the game on 360.
This was like they just released two different games at the same time because they didn't want to upset people.
Yeah, I think it was Rogue and then they did Black Flag at the same time. So like
Maybe.
you can play as Hatham in this one. I forget. I think it may have been a last gen title, and then they
think it was
eventually
those.
ported it over.
Hmm.
I could be wrong though. I faintly recall what you're saying though, Elyse.
Yeah, I think you might be right that it was Assassin's Creed.
I swear I
You
played
said
Black
that.
Flag on 360. Black Flag.
Oh,
I'm not good at
It may
saying
have been
words.
I thought Black Flag was a PS. I remember being a PS4 launch title, but that was also one of those games where it came out. They came out close enough to get each other, like Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, where remember that game launched on PS2, but then like it's a launch title on Xbox 360, and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also getting hollered at a lot by my fellow Canadians who I mentioned it earlier, but they're all like, we're already paying $80 for, new games. And then this is going to take us over $100, which, you think like, oh, well, in US dollars, it's only this amount, but it's still dipping into our coin purses,
Yeah.
our loonies, our toonies.
Well, Canadian dollars are just like monopoly money, though, right?
They're polymer, so you can't tear the bills.
Oh,
Another
that's
tweet,
cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
People
It's good
called
to-
it out. It's Rogue and Unity. Those are
Rogue and Unity.
those are the
Oh,
ones
yes,
that came out at the
Unity.
same time. Yeah. So they said we still remember you, old console friends, and play this for a discounted rate.
I'm curious if that kind of stuff will happen again. That was a little rare.
Yeah.
There was another tweet I got from Moose Shark who said, others may have already said it, but games have been the same price for a long time while things around us are constantly fluctuating in price. It's honestly surprising that games didn't go up in price sooner. Controllers already cost more than last gen. PS3 to PS4, $10 more.
Yeah.
And they're making fancy controllers. Adam has the goddamn Elite S or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So does Elyse. Don't leave her out. I mean,
Come on, Adam.
what? I didn't. I mean,
It's too heavy for my hands.
it's a nice controller. Well, but then the other thing is, yes, the prices haven't changed much, but then there's all these sort of invisible, gimmies. They're like, oh, Tetris 99 is free, but you need Nintendo Plus or whatever it's
Yeah.
called. Nintendo Online. What is it even called? I don't know,
It's
but I
Nintendo
have
Online, right?
Nintendo Switch Online? I don't know.
I do
Something
not
like
have
that.
it. I wish I had
Oh.
it, but I don't.
There was that
actually,
deal on
yeah.
Twitch where you got a whole year for free or something.
That's why I have it. Thank you.
Yep.
I was trying to
Wait,
think
what?
why.
How did you
I
get
posted
it?
about it in Funhaus office like 10 different times.
Oh my gosh! But what were the stipulations for it?
The stipulation was you
Just have
signed up and you got
Twitch
3 months
or Prime.
free, but then you had to come back 3 months later and sign up for the next 9 months. So I set a reminder on my calendar. So I announced it in Funhouse Office. I said, sign up for 3 months. And then 3 months later, I was like, all right, if you sign up for those 3 months, you got to sign up for the 9 months now. So I got a whole
Wow.
year for free.
That's cool.
Thrifty.
It's also it's also I'm this is how you justify these things. You go, it's only $30 a year or something, but that's how they get you. So yeah, there are more microtransactions than ever. There are more there's more DLC. There's all these things where they're trying to make games as a service. These sorts of things keep you coming back. So it's like, yeah, the prices haven't really changed, but the way they monetize them has significantly. And whether I always see it as these are necessary evils in a way to try to keep things from getting too out of control price wise. But at the same time, it always feels like your hobby's under attack of becoming too costly.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, a counterpoint to this whole argument that the DLC, the price of games has gone up drastically because every game has a season pass, or at least every AAA game has a season pass. Content is like paywalled or gatekept so like to actually get the full game that releases over the course of a year, it's upwards of $100. So if they're going to up the price again, then it's, they already have upped the price, but secretly.
But yeah, and I mean, going back to Spool though, if
Yeah.
if you were paying $60 for a 360 game that you played for 15 hours, and now you're paying $70 for a Xbox Series S game that you're gonna play for like 80 hours,
Yeah.
should we be so up in arms about it?
I
don't
beat
know, only
Far
school
Cry
knows.
3 like 6 times.
What point are you making? I'm not sure.
Yeah, what was that?
$1 1 hour.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, you can start getting into the nitty gritty on that one too. We're like, well, how often are you doing the same thing over and over? Well, that's most video games. Like you can
Yeah.
play Tetris. Like as my brain went, ooh, wow, in the last 20 hours, and it did not. I am upset. I will like a refund now. Oops, I put in 300 hours.
Yeah, that's always the best thing. It's like a thumbs down, like, this game sucks, and it's 450 hours played.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll get to some gameplay in a moment, but first, a word from our sponsor.
ExpressVPN is the software that we and thousands of our fans use every day to protect our data online. In the time since we started using ExpressVPN, hacking methods have grown even more sophisticated. We're sure many of you are working from home these days, and without your IT department to protect you from online threats, it's important that you take action on your own to secure your devices you use for work. That's why we recommend using ExpressVPN for the best online protection possible. It's more important than ever to protect your online data. Using the web without protection is like going to bed with the front door unlocked. Speaking as someone who has gone through this personally, I can tell you it is not fun. One of the easiest ways to secure your internet data is with ExpressVPN. You click one button on your computer or smartphone and you are protected. Now, I personally use ExpressVPN every day for our recordings and meetings. For some reason, our VoIP client of choice decided that my internet needed to be throttled, which then resulted in countless dropped calls or just degraded quality. For the last week, I've been using ExpressVPN to reroute my server location, and the problem has been magically solved. Now, I can't tell you if this is how ExpressVPN was meant to be used, but I can tell you right now, my coworkers are no longer mocking me for sounding like a robot, and that is fantastic. So my only question is, why haven't you gotten ExpressVPN yet? Visit our special link right now at expressvpn.com/dude and get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Protect your internet today with the VPN I trust to keep my data safe. That's expressvpn.com/dude. Thank you.
Before the sponsor, I alluded to some game playing, and that was for a new segment. One for now, one for later. This is where we talk about a game that we're playing right now and then look to another game, an upcoming game that we're hyped about. John, take us away. What are you playing right now?
First off, Elyse, love the title of this new segment. Think
Thank
it's
you.
great. For me, right now, I'm playing Dark Souls 3. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar, but back when
Hot off the
Sekiro,
presses.
No.
back when
it come out,
Sekiro came out,
2016.
But back when Sekiro
Okay.
came out, I got all the way to Ishin Sword Saint. Then I took a break, and then when I came back, I forgot how to play the game, and I just gave up. So a few months later, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start with Demon's Souls, and I'm going to play through every single Soulsborne game, and then get to Sekiro and redeem myself. So I'm now on Dark Souls 3, playing through that. And then I'm going to move on to Sekiro and finally redeem myself and beat Ishin Sword Saint. So this has been a year-long journey for me because I have taken many breaks. But
Elyse, settle down.
it's going to happen.
Are you streaming Sekiro?
Yeah, well, I'm streaming Dark Souls 3 right now. I've streamed all of them, all the games.
Because I know James is going to want to watch you play when you
Okay.
get to that.
James,
I know it.
James claims that he beat Ishin on like his second try or something. I think he cheated.
I mean, are there difficulties? Different
Nope.
difficulties?
Nope.
Oh.
There was hot debate last year, at least. Does Sekiro need to have a easy game mode?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I felt like that was slanderous towards the community of people that need accessibility options to enjoy games. Because it was less the question of should there be an easy mode and more should there be more accessibility options in games. But those dirty journalists trying to make that quick buck on catchy headlines. They talk
Calling their
about
audience
easy mode.
babies.
Yeah. So that's what I'm playing right now. And
Cool. And then what are you
the game
looking
I'm
forward
looking
to?
forward
What's
to.
coming up?
is a game that I've played the demo of about 100 times because it's very short. It's Carrion. It's basically, you may have remembered earlier in the stream when I said you heard of The Thing. That's because this game, you basically play as The Thing. It's amazing. It's so fun. It's so satisfying. Crawling around in vents, reaching out, eating like scientists and stuff. It's so fun and so cool. And so it's like the opposite of a horror game, where you're the
You're the
scariness.
horror.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the horror.
That's cool.
It's
You're a
just so
horror.
cool. Yeah. So I can't wait for it. It's coming out July 23rd, I think. So it's right around the corner. Devolver Digital announced it. But yeah, I'm so stoked. It's so
Are there
cool.
are there like different kind of layers to how you're playing as the thing, or is it just kind of like smashing and grabbing?
It's kind of like a Metroidvania where you unlock abilities over time. At least in the demo, you unlock like 1 or 2 abilities. So I'm guessing the rest of the game will be like that. And you also, your size and strength depends on your damage that you've taken. So you get big and weighty and you're just smashing through things. But then if you get shot, you shrink down to this little thing that's like darting around. So it's pretty cool. And it seems dynamic. I don't think I'll get tired of it by the end.
Yeah, that seems really neat. Is that out soon?
July
End of the
23rd,
month? Yeah.
12 or
Oh, wow.
11 days from when we're recording this.
John's just marking it off his calendar. Says,
Oh, wait,
Carrion.
9 days.
Yeah,
Adam,
they showed it
what's
during
your-
the press conference. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
What's your 1 for now, or your 2 for now?
The games I'm currently swapping through are The Last of Us 2, haven't finished it yet, Tetris Effect, and Overwatch. Like a little bit of everything when I need
Nice.
it. So I still like to,
Variety gamer.
yeah, I still need like my shoot things fix, and that's like, a few minutes of Overwatch here and there, and then I'm trying to finish Last of Us so I can be part of the zeitgeist and know what everyone's talking about. Like, what sex scene? I haven't got there yet. Hold on. Is there one? I hope so.
Is Tetris Effect like your handheld game?
That's just a game that, so I discovered Tetris 99 over the weekend. And then I remember that Tetris Effect had come out on PC and I wanted to give that a try, and I installed it, and it is very kind of therapeutic. It's just kind of a nice way to unwind. It's a great game. The unfortunate thing is, this is the first time I found a way to complain about the Epic Games Store, but it's very specific to me. So forgive my rant being very, very Adam specific, but because it's on the Epic Games Store, you cannot stream the game from your PC to a living room like situation if you have like a NVIDIA Shield or any of those, like a Steam had their own like Steam Link.
Steam
those sorts of
Link.
things. Yeah,
Seemed like
that
never
thing that
worked
came
for
and went.
us.
And so Tetris Effect, since it is on the Epic Games Store, you can add it to Steam, and when you launch it, it crashes out because it tries to do a DRM check, which is the dumbest thing in the world. That when it launches, it doesn't launch correctly. So that's a bummer. It's a game that I feel like should be played on a couch in a couch situation. So probably get a refund and then just buy it on PS4. But I wanted to do the whole PC experience because apparently it had some bells and whistles on it, like HDR and some other fancy things. But
Nice.
that was a bit of a bummer. So yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
finally have a gripe with the Epic Games Store. You bastards.
sorry.
Shut it
I
down.
thought maybe you got it on like Switch or something.
No, I don't think I think it was only on PlayStation. And then yeah, it'll be on Steam eventually, but yeah, just kind of a bummer. But like I said, when I Google searched the problem, I was like, Tetris Effect NVIDIA Shield, no work. And there's one Reddit thread with no answers on it. So I'm like, there's threes of us. There are people who need to stream games from their computer to their living room and wasted a bunch of time running a hardline cable from one room to the other. There are us, but yeah. Then looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima next week, or this week actually, 3 days. Crap.
Yeah.
And Halo Infinite at the end of the year. I think those are my two most. Ghosts because I think it's just coming out so soon and it's getting some hype behind it, and I like Sucker Punch.
Oh yeah,
so.
the reviews are out today, and they're pretty universally positive. Today that we filmed this podcast, which is Tuesday the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
I only saw glowing reviews, which didn't really seem out of the norm. It was kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, they seem kind of all over the place, but I really enjoyed Second Son. the last Infamous, and I like that studio. I think they do some good stuff, and the game looks gorgeous. And I've heard it's like a Sekiro light. I'm into it. And Flute Guy, remember Flute Guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
He got a lot of hate. Didn't
He's on the
deserve it,
box.
probably.
He's the cover art. I don't know if you remember.
For my one for now, I like just started this on Switch. Old Man, I've had it for a long time, but Old Man's Journey, which is kind of a delightful little story game where you're following, an old man on his journey. It's just a delightful thing. I haven't really discovered that yet. I think it may have something to do with lost love, etc.
I like the art style.
You're manipulating environments and stuff to traverse it, and it's just you get little flashback glimpses of story and things like that. I do really want to give this game the fair shake it deserves and the attention, because I've wanted to play it for a while, and it's so beautiful looking. But I have to say, like, Super Paper Mario Origami King is out in a couple days, and once that's out, like, I'm gonna be playing that.
Yeah.
So this is just a little thing that I was like, I'll pick this up and start this, because James and I had been taking turns playing Last of Us 2. We finished that. So Paper Mario is my.
Wasn't there some controversy with Paper Mario though? Like, people are upset about the combat in the last one.
Yeah, I heard that the combat is more like you're doing these like attack chains where you're like and it's less focused on like more traditional RPG combat than say like a Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I did hear some criticism of the combat, and I saw some people saying, like, or reviewers saying, I found myself just running through combat scenarios because you also don't gain, if I'm remembering correctly, you don't gain XP from combat scenarios. So like if you can just avoid a combat session, like, you might as well just run through it.
Oh, that's the new one, or that's the older one?
That's what I'm hearing about this one.
Oh,
is that like, because you're not getting XP, you're not using it to level up skill progression or anything. Like, you might as well, if you and then you when you return to an enemy, those enemies that you just fought painstakingly doing those like attack chains or whatever, they've respawned.
Huh.
So yeah, that's kind of disappointing to hear. Like, because if you're doing those grunt meaningless fights, you want that XP to mean something. But so I probably will play it the same way, running through a lot of those encounters, unless I absolutely have to do them. But I'm still excited for the game. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Elyse, not to jump back a little bit, but Old Man's Journey reminded me of, I had to Google it and remember what it's called. Did you ever play Samorost?
No.
So it seems very similar in terms of the puzzling. It's SamorSot. It's basically this game. It's so beautiful, but you're doing the same thing where you're running around and kind of changing the environment to allow this character to traverse it.
That looks really
the first
pretty.
one came out back in the day on Flash. The third one came out a couple years ago on mobile and PC.
But I see one Samorost 3 on Steam is like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, if you like kind of the puzzle style of Old Man's Journey, I think you'd really be into the Samorost series.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, this reminds me a little bit of Gardens Between. Did you ever play any of that?
Gardens Between.
You guys could be making things up. I
maybe
just don't know.
Maybe it's like just really
you told me about
level.
this.
Yeah. Well, I will look for that, John.
Okay.
Because that looks right up my alley.
After Origami King.
After Origami King, because I'm sorry, Old Man's Journey, but I'm gonna have to go for it when it comes out in a couple days. My one for later.
He doesn't care. He just must find his dead wife or something.
My one for later was the Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope, the Little Hope episode, which comes out October 30th.
This is not Man of Medan?
It's part of that Man of Medan anthology. So Man of Medan was like the first episode, and now this is the next installment. And I thought Man of Medan was fun. It was neat. I'm not really a big fan of like that nautical setting that they did. This one that feels like a little bit more of just a traditional spooky kind of like, yeah, it's like people, stranded somewhere in the town of Little Hope, which is pretty dark. Looks like it has some secret to it. This is kind of what I'm into.
Okay.
And
Safe
Adam,
scares.
it's got
What?
Will Poulter, that actor you love.
Will
Will
Poulter.
Poulter.
Who's Will Coulter?
Poulter. I'll post a picture of him. You know who I'm talking
Will
about. There he
Poulter.
is.
Oh,
You love him. I know you love him.
Not Wahlberg.
Yeah, not Wahlberg.
That's right, yeah.
Will Poulter just dropped out of the Lord of the Rings series,
Good.
or it was released that he did. It was announced.
He
that
has he has a brighter future ahead of him because of it. It would have just
see.
weighed him down.
John,
I don't know this,
he's so
I don't know
shocked.
this guy. What?
Yeah, you do. He was in the Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
I didn't see that.
Oh, really?
He's
Didn't-
Maze
didn't
Runner
play
kid,
that.
right?
Yeah, Maze Runner boy.
Yeah.
And from
I'm
sorry.
aware of his existence, but I don't actively seek. I already forgot his name. Will Coulter.
he was also in
Does he?
Midsummer, We're the Millers. All of your favorite movies,
Oh.
Adam.
Yeah, Midsummer was a solid 7 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed it. Will not be going back. But
Well-
he was good in it. I enjoyed him. Yeah, okay. He was
Yeah.
less blonde than the photo you sent me. Well, sad. The Tolkien verse will miss him. I wish him the best.
Who's
Thank you
going to
for
play
those-
Gollum?
Thank you for those kind words, Adam. That wraps up our show for today. Thank you, everyone on RT First for watching, and everyone who'll be watching on YouTube in the future. I hope that you're enjoying your summer of gaming and that you check us out live every day on roosterteeth.com. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, John,
Hey,
Thanks for
anytime.
having me.
for being here today.
Always a blast. And thank you
Nick.
for watching.
Thank you.
Elyse.
Thanks, Nick. And thank you to me. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.